Thank you so much, everybody, for coming on. We are tonight talking about your sons and daughters who have been selected to Team Ontario and Volleyball Canada program. So congratulations to them. We're super proud of you. I think we have a strong tradition of placing Maverick athletes on our provincial team and our national team, and having coached in both programs. It is quite the honor to put on your province's jersey and your the Maple Leafs. So your sons and daughters are in for a wonderful summer and a great experience. Topics for discussion today. We just wanted to share information with what we're doing with our Team Ontario and Team Canada athletes. So we'll talk about the OVA tryout window policy. We'll talk about the summer commitment, and then we'll talk about what to expect in the fall of 2026. So for clarification, you may have heard there's a Resign project, a Resign pilot project that we're launching for 17U and 18U, and they kind of get combined. So we're going to Resign athletes in waves. So the first wave is obviously you guys, so your sons and daughters who have been selected to Team Ontario and Team Canada. That's not new. We have been doing it now for the past, I want to say 4 years, that if an athlete makes Team Ontario or Team Canada, we will re-sign the athlete, so they don't need to worry about coming back in the tryouts for the fall. They just need to determine where they land and which team they land on. So, but the second wave you'll hear about, and it's happening actually starting this week, is tryouts. So we've launched a project, a pilot project, where we are going to re-sign 17U and 18U athletes simply because we want them training in the summer. We found that the training, especially strength and conditioning training, has dropped significantly in our club, and we want to institute that culture again. So we've initiated the 17U and 18U pilot project, where the two national teams for each age group will be able to re-sign some athletes, in that they're committed to strength and conditioning and a summer program this summer. I believe there are some 15U age females and parents on this call. Please stay on after the call, because the wave 2 doesn't impact you, but we may have opportunities for you in that wave. So if you want to stay on, I could further explain to you that. So all right, so let's go into what we're here to discuss, the tryout window policy. So the OVA allows all its member clubs to re-sign athletes from the period of June 1 to 26. We're able to re-sign all the athletes that competed in our club. Traditionally, I would say for the first 20 years of our club, we didn't use the re-sign. We had an open tryout in the fall, and we would sign our athletes. But as I said earlier, in the last 4 or 5 years, we've changed our stance, softened our stance a little bit, and said, we are going to re-sign our Team Ontario and Team Canada athletes to a team for next year. And so we are going to do the same this year. June 30th, there will be a club listing. We have to submit a club listing of all of the athletes that we re-signed, so that the OVA is aware and that other member clubs are aware that we have re-signed these athletes. And as I said, in prior years, we did not re-sign athletes unless they've been selected to an indoor Team Ontario or a Team Canada program, either a competing team, a roster team, or the National Excellence Program. So that has been our practice in the past. And as I said, this summer, we're launching a pilot to re-sign national level athletes at the 17U and 18U ages for the 2026-2027 season. So there's no change for those who are on the call today. The one change that we'll have for you is your commitment to the summer training post your Team Ontario and Team Canada involvement, which I'll explain later. And then there's an open tryout for athletes who competed for the club in the 2026 season. So that part 2 of that is the pilot that we're running, and that's actually this week. As I said, we are going to re-sign some athletes as a result of a tryout. So all athletes on this call, we will provide an offer to re-sign with the club tomorrow, June 2nd, and then athletes have a 48-hour window where they can review their offer and accept their offer by returning the signed offer to Paula. So that in essence says you have a spot for next year. As been our practice, you have a spot in the national cohort, but we at the fall tryout will determine where you land. So you will get this offer form, and we wanted to walk through elements and make sure that as we're as transparent as possible. So unfortunately, I don't know if you can see this or you can expand it. I'm not able to expand it, but the first line that they ask you is team name, and you'll see in the team name will be the cohort that you're entering. So if you're going to 17U next year, we will say 17U girls national cohort. The name of the head coach, we will list it as the cohort national head coaches that have been named. So we won't name a specific head coach. The age category, obviously, we're going to name you to the category that you belong to, and then we're not asking for any deposit. We're not asking for anything, so that there's no need to ask to pay a deposit and worry about any refunding. You will see a note section, and in that note section is where I'll spend some time to explain. So athletes after re-signing due to selection to Team Ontario and or Team Canada are subject to the same conditions as all athletes in the club re-sign project, re-sign pilot. So what are those conditions? They must follow a strength conditioning program for the off season and attend established testing sessions to monitor progress. They must participate in on-court training with the post-secondary program between June 22nd and August 14th, and they must participate in on-court and off-court training meetings with their cohort throughout the summer as established by the coaching staff. Now, we realize there's going to be variances. There's going to be vacations and everything. So we have already established a committee of coaches that will look at each, yeah, as long as we know beforehand that you're going to miss a portion. I mean, all your athletes are going to miss a portion as you represent the province and the country, so we'll know that, and we will accept it. And obviously, there's going to be vacations in there, and there's things. So as long as we know beforehand that you're going to commit to when you're available to the program, that then we won't have any issue with that. So I just wanted to make that very clear that where you may have heard, oh, you have to commit to it all, or you can't do it. No, we realize that summer happens. We realize that you have plans. We realize that you may have to travel. So we're very clear that we're accepting of that. But as long as you're in town, you're following the program. Are there any questions around that before I go on? No? Okay.
Do we know the
So
costs?
yes, we will have all the costs finalized, because right now we don't know the number of athletes participating yet. So and we will prorate some costs. So we won't know it until we have the solid number. But we will share a cost at the town hall meeting, which I'll talk about as well. So the summer commitment, unless approved, all athletes are expected to train in the off season. So prior to the Team Ontario, Team Canada commitment, attend the open tryouts. I think that's extra touches for the athletes as they prepare to go to their Team Ontario or Team Canada commitments. Attend the strength and conditioning portions. Attend the PSDC if they can. And after they come back from Team Ontario and Team Canada, we're going to mandate some rest days for sure. So the first 3 days that they're back, they have to be off. On the fourth day, they could start the strength and conditioning component, and they don't get on the court again until 5 days after they come back. So the first thing is they're getting their bodies ready for strength conditioning, and then 2 days after they can they can they could start on court. So I use an example there. I followed the Team Ontario Red Boys program. The last day of competition for Canada Cup is July 26th. Their first day back for strength conditioning will be July 30th, which is 3 days after their last day of competition. And their first on-court day will be August 1st. So those are the things that the coaches are going to monitor and make sure that the athletes are following that, just to ensure that there's rest and recovery. Already, I made a mistake. It's actually June 15th. We're going to have a town hall for all re-signed athletes. So that includes the wave one, which your sons and daughters are in, and the wave two. We will have that meeting on June 15th, and the club will go over the final details for the summer. At that point, we know how many athletes are involved in the program. We'll know all the costs, and then we'll be able to provide more information. And as I said, there's a lot of moving parts in this, and we're trying to take care of things in waves and provide as much information as we can as we know it. So by June 15th, we should have a solid idea of everything. And then at that point, athletes are communicating to the coaches, okay, coach, I'm in the program, but I have a week where I'm away here. I have 3 days where I'm, whatever the case may be. As long as they let the coaches know beforehand and it's approved, there should be no issue with us accepting it. And then costs for Team Ontario and Team Canada re-signed athletes will be prorated based on their participation. Obviously, let's say the cost is 300 for the strength and conditioning program, and it won't be 300 for the athletes who are Team Ontario and Team Canada. It'll be prorated for the number of sessions that you'll attend. So what you can expect in the fall is that, as we said, you were just signed to the cohort, and you still need to be signed to the team and assigned to the team. So at the later stages of the fall tryout, usually the last two you'll attend. I mean, you're welcome to attend the tryouts and get some reps in. I have to double check to see if that's acceptable by the OVA standards, but I mean, you're already re-signed to the club, so it shouldn't be an issue. But typically we would ask that the athletes just show up for the last two sessions where the team play components are usually put in, and then from there the coaches will sort out where you are. And we will confirm your national level team in the fall. So as I said, you're re-signed to a cohort and not to a team. So that I want to be very clear of for the athletes. It's only for indoor programs, and it's only for the teams that result in competition. So unfortunately, like TORP, we don't re-sign TORP athletes. We just resign Team Ontario white, red, black, Team Canada red, white program, Team Canada U19, and then the NEP athletes. So those are the athletes that are being offered re-sign. So that's the short presentation that I had, and I'm opening up the floor for questions here. Some of you may have had experience before being re-signed. Some of you, this may be your first time. So that's why we thought we'd have this town hall just to give you like an idea of what to expect for this summer. So I'll open up the floor, and I have a reminder for myself so that I don't remember to end the call without having a discussion with any 15UH females that are on the call, because you don't fall into the re-sign project, into the re-sign pilot. So yeah, at this point, I'll happily answer any questions that people have. Yeah, I have a hand up. Byron.
Yeah, the question is, who are we sending the emails to coordinate absences from sort of mandated either training or on-court sessions or weight training sessions or whatever? Who are we sending those emails to?
So it would be to the cohort's head coaches, and in your case, it would be John Spack and Ling Lee. They're the ones that are going to be the head coaches that your daughter would report to.
Okay, I don't have Ling's.
Yeah, we'll provide all of that on June 15th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure. And I have Mr. or Mrs. Wires, I believe. Yes, Wires.
Yeah, sorry, Jacob Spears. Sorry. So I'm just trying to add this all up as a Team Ontario black male athlete. Okay. So we're looking at, they finished nationals on May 24th. They're expected to do a bunch of tryouts and stuff like that, and then start training with a cohort on June 15. So that's 21 days type of rest from nationals. Then if they're doing this re-signing thing and doing the training, they have 34-ish days from June 15 to July 5, where they're actually able to be with the cohort. Then they're gone if they go all the way through to Canada Cup from July 7 to August 1st for the rest days that you described. And then they have 14 days afterwards. So we're talking like 34 days altogether that are even possible for a Team Ontario black athlete, male athlete with the cohort. And then that has to be traded off with like how long do tryouts start after that for the fall, and then basically they're into the fall as well. So like when you add up all of this, where does it fit with Sport Canada long-term athlete development, rest guidelines for 17-year-olds, even kids who still are trying to, enjoy another sport in the summer, all this, like, I struggle to see how this all adds up. So like, where, like, is this, like, I guess it's just, I don't see, I, I struggle to see if this is even good for the athletes.
Yeah, no, really good question. I really appreciate the question. And so the stage where I'm sorry, I don't know if your son or your daughter is in. I think you said your son, Jacob.
Yeah. I'm
Yes.
Jacob. Micah is
Yeah,
my son.
yeah. So the stage that Jacob is in the train to compete stage of the long-term athlete developmental, and in that stage, athletes should be playing one sport at that point, so that they're on the pathway to one sport. So at that stage, they're looking to specialize in the sport that they chose. So we are assuming it's volleyball, indoor volleyball at this time, and they are choosing that pathway towards the podium. So that's the next the train to compete and the compete stage, and then like the podium pathway. So in the long-term athlete development model, and what we're finding is that the strength and conditioning components are lacking, are we're behind. So we just keep like trying to train injured athletes, and so we're focusing on the strength and conditioning component. There is an indoor training component that we have too, that's twice a week, and I totally understand the predicament that Jacob's in. I was just finished last summer. We did the Canada Games and we were gone for 2 months, so I understand that the load that it's on. And so if Jacob decides that, you know what, at this stage here, I can only participate in X number of sessions. I need a week off for family time or whatever the case may be. By all means, it's, just let us know, and then we will look. It's accepted because it makes sense. Like what you're telling us is like it's a long program. I get it. We've been there. Um, the the other thing that we're trying to do is that it unfortunately is it's a 12-month sport, and we just have to periodize it as such. So whether he's playing, whether we have a structured program for him or not, I think he's still going to be doing this. And so it's just we're trying to catch up to the rest of what the country is doing, and we're trying to put a structure into it, especially where they're at in their stage of development right now, where they're going towards the post-secondary track, right? Which is the next level is what we're preparing them for, where they're a 12-month a year athlete for 5 years. So it's that pathway we're preparing them for.
Do we know who the cohort coaches are for next year
For the
yet?
18U boys, we do. It's Kevin Graham and Bruce Ashfield.
Okay.
They're
And
the two head
then,
coaches.
but right. So, but then with this resigning thing, we're being asked to commit to a maximum of 30-ish days, 34 days that we could possibly engage with at an unknown cost. And we have to make that commitment within 48 hours of getting a notice tomorrow.
Yeah, so that like I said, yes, that is in essence what we're doing. Now he can commit to resigning or not commit to resign. That is an option as well that he can do. And so, you know what, I'm just going to take the time off and just come back in the fall. More than welcome to do that. But we think that if he commits to resign and then has his like explains like I'd like to take a week off here, or I'd like to take 2 weeks off here. I need it for my mental health, whatever the case may be. I think coaches are willing to have that discussion, but we need to think about the 12-month a year athlete that's heading towards that pathway. So that's what we're trying to prepare them for. Because, like I said, post-secondary athletes and national team athletes, they're going 12 months a year, and at 12 months of the year for multiple years. So we have to make sure we're preparing them for that.
I'm going to let other people go, but I just like what it boils down to for me is I'm being asked to make a commitment at an unknown cost to a program that basically covers the only 34 days of rest that he could possibly get in the year. I just don't. So anyway,
Absolutely.
I'm from a personal perspective, I just don't see how it adds up. And we probably just roll the dice on tryouts in the fall. I just, I don't see how this makes sense. But anyway, that's
Absolutely. Yeah, and that is an option that would work. That's always yours for sure. Right. The next one I have is Keen with your hand up.
Hi, John. Thanks. It's Keen's dad. Just looking at what's going on with Timo, we had a meeting last night. They have expectations that we engage in their strength training program between now and the end of summer. I could see that perhaps that's a little bit in conflict with what the Mavs are doing. If is there a preference that we drop the Timo strength and conditioning that they're providing after the Timo Canada Cup is done and they've had their week of rest?
So it's Matt Golis that's running that, correct?
That's right.
For team,
Yeah.
yeah. So Matt, if you talk to Matt and say we are following a structured strength and conditioning program in the summer, I think he will say that is fantastic. Follow your structured one that it's going to lead you into your season.
Okay. Then the second thought is, have we signed a new strength and conditioning provider yet? And what is the strength and conditioning provider going to be for these athletes if they re-sign in the next couple of days here?
Yeah, so we have two providers. The Capital Strength is going to be one, and Titan Performance is the other. And we also have introduced a new, and we've heard the feedback with the strength conditioning. We have a strategic lead now who's external to our club, and he's going to be, his name is Jason McCullough. He's actually doing our quality assurance, for lack of a better word, of our strength and conditioning program. He's involved. He's 25 years in the industry. He's set up, like works with the OHL, works with professional athletes, and so he's got the experience of like what a good program looks like, and he is now our conduit with to hold the service providers' feet to the fire, for lack of a better word, in terms of quality. And so he's already started that process with them. And so in terms of quality of programming, we're hoping that that Jason is that person that elevates the program for us with our providers. And what we're going to provide, what the strength conditioning providers are providing for us this summer is actually a varied schedule. So they're going to have some day sessions that the athlete can go to. They'll have some evening sessions that the athletes can go to. So it'll be by sign up based on the available time slots with both providers. And we're assuring that both programs are obviously monitored by Jason, that that the quality is the same whether you go to one or the other. So, and the quality is high is the hope. So I don't know if I answered your question, but
yeah, and Titan's out of I think it's out of the Sensplex in the East End there.
I believe so. Correct. Yes.
Okay. And last thing, and I know this might be difficult, but projected costs for athletes being that they'll be disappearing early July. They'll be and gone for basically all of July. Then there'll be a couple weeks after the rest period returning to Canada Cup. Could you guesstimate, kind of throw out a reasonably accurate number as to what the cost would be for both the on-court stuff and the dry training?
Yeah, so I can give you a rough estimate for the on-court training. For the whole summer of on-court training, they do all the sessions twice a week with Colin Walker. That is going to be $475, if I'm not mistaken, and I believe the strength and conditioning will be just under that. So we're talking that like $700-800 range. That's my best guess right now, and we're assuming that like everyone signs up. Obviously, if people don't sign up, the cost then change. But that's the number we're working with. So just around that range, plus or minus.
Oh, and that's prorated, like you were mentioning.
Prorated, correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I appreciate it.
No problem. And I have Paul. You have your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. Some of it just got answered. Mine was about strength and conditioning as well. Excuse me. My son works out on his own, always has, on top of what he's been doing at Capital Strength. My question is this: do they have to? Is it mandatory they use or show up to Capital Strength or Titans, or can they work on their own? Because we're an hour outside of Ottawa.
Yeah.
So it's if we have to come in for on-court sessions twice a week, and then it's separate days for weight training, it sort of gets too much just for the distance that we're there, unless they can match up strength and conditioning on days that we're on court.
So yeah. So if I can answer that question, so your first question is, if your son, in this case, let's say he's working out at a gym down the street or at home, great, like
Yeah.
that he's working out. We're going to ask that he comes in intervals. I believe Jason is saying 6 to 8 week intervals where they come in and get tested in terms of like, okay, where are they at? So to make sure that,
Okay.
you know, their level is there. So that's if they're training on their own.
Okay.
The second part of your question is, we have sessions where, let's say, they do strength and conditioning first, and then they're on court. So there are some available slots. As I said, there's some slots throughout the week that they have spread out, like day sessions, evening sessions, and then sessions that are like in line with their on court, so the athletes can sign up for. But it'll be on a first come, first serve sign up basis. Yeah. So
When
he'll
will
have
that sign
both
up?
options. So
When
we'll
will that
have
sign up come
everything.
out?
Yeah, so we'll have everything hopefully prior to the June 15th town hall. We'll have the information out to the parents, and then that town hall will be similar to this question and answer period. So that
Okay,
they'll
and
be able
then,
to, yeah.
sorry, so then if this schedule comes out and it doesn't actually fit, mostly it doesn't fit ours as a parent, just from where we live, getting him to and from, things like that.
Yeah.
He won't be excluded. He can have that option to work out on his own and then be tested.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. That's all I wanted to know.
No problem. Thanks for your question.
Thank you.
Were there any questions in the chat? I see.
Yeah, there's one question in the chat, John. Did you see it, or do you want me to read it out?
Could you read it out? I have my presentation up.
Yeah. So it says, we would like to get started with the SNC expectations ASAP in June, given 3-week absence in July. When will specific requirements for SNC be provided?
Good question. I believe Jason has worked it out with, if you just allow me to go back to some messages here. I believe Jason has worked it out that their first testing session with the provider will be so June 28th. Unfortunately, we want to avoid Father's Day. I think was like just working in with dates. So I think June 28th was when all athletes are to report to Capital for their first testing session to establish where they are at. So I believe first training session though, from what I'm seeing, and please don't hold me to this because it's just it's not finalized, but I believe first training session is June 22nd. There you
go. So there's a follow-up question, John, asking if we are going to be using an independent trainer, can we speak with Matt to confirm expectations?
Yeah, so I assume, Lisa, you're talking about Matt Golis with Team Ontario. Yeah, so I'm not involved with Team Ontario this summer, but I have been for the last 12 or 10 or 12 seasons. And last year, Matt Golis came on as the head strength conditioning coach for Ontario Volleyball. And he's always been very accepting of, if you're following an established program with your own trainer, either through yourself or through your club, by all means, follow that program. So I would just send him a follow-up email. And again, I have the caveat that that position may have changed in a year, but he's always been, if you're following a program, we're not gonna try to get off the program to come into our program, because he realizes that whatever program you're following is probably periodized for 12 months instead of his being only periodized for like 3 months. Right. So he'll always go to the default of follow what you're currently doing or what you're going to follow for the 12-month period.
Thanks, John. So sorry, I'll jump in just because I don't think I was clear in my question. I was actually maybe I didn't get the name right, but it was the individual you said the club had retained to oversee the program. It was actually, I think maybe I used the wrong name.
Oh,
but
Jason.
Jason. Yeah.
Yes.
So can we connect with him to understand, like, June 28th is kind of a long ways away. If we could understand a little bit more before that get started with our own trainer.
Yeah, completely. So if you send me an email, Lisa, it's very easy, john@maverickvolleyball.ca. I could connect you with Jason. And the only reason we pushed it back to that long is just for that rest and recovery. Like the same reason as Mr. Zwire has said, like, we know, like we're not having enough rest and recovery. Well, we figure they're into exam period, like we're we're allowing them to have rest and recovery and then have start. So that's why, like, we didn't want to start right away. And so yes, if you please send me an email. I know Jason's very open. He's very knowledgeable about it, and he's very open to like independent trainers as long as the athlete is following a program and they're protecting their bodies for the season ahead. He's all for that. So
thank you.
no problem. If we elect to use the Team Ontario strength and conditioning, is that acceptable? I wouldn't see why not, but it works. It works for me. Just like I would see that would be like an independent, as long as they follow their testing. And that's that one caveat that we have is like they can do whatever program they want, but we want to come and monitor that it's actually being done and that there's progress happening, right? So yeah, absolutely. It works for us. All right. Are there any other questions? Okay. Well, if there's no other questions, my email is john@maverickvolleyball.ca. By all means, please send me an email if you think of anything. And happy to answer what we know. And we will be holding another town hall with much more details than this. We just thought we'd give as much details as we had at this time. But by the June 15th meeting, we'll have details for you to then make a decision on. So, Paula, can you confirm that on June 15th we'll have the town hall and then we'll send out the offer forms for the
I can do it either way.
okay.
I
Yeah.
think in our initial discussions, we had talked about sending out the forms prior to the town hall,
Yeah,
but
that's right.
we can also
Yeah.
change it if everyone agrees to do it that way.
Yeah. Okay. We'll keep you up to date. How's that? There's another question from Key.
Yeah, sorry, that was exactly what I was going to mention. Is if we're going to have another town hall on the 15th and we've got till the 30th, and you're allowing for a 48-hour window, why don't we just pause everything and allow parents to absorb this until after the 15th? That'd be really helpful.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense to me as well.
Thank you.
As I said, we're kind of navigating through this. So prior years, we just offered to our Team Ontario athletes and Team Canada athletes and said, "Have a great summer." We didn't. There was no element of working out and staying connected to the program. But yeah, so I totally get it. So I'm very open to that. So we'll have the town hall with information. 48 hours later, you can then choose to resign or not. And if there are breaks in the schedule and all that, just let the coaches know that I'd love to resign. There's 4 weeks where I can't do it, and they'll be understanding. I think if the reason is a good one. All right. If there are no other questions, I will thank you so much for your time. Just a reminder for the 15 new athletes that may be and their parents who may be on this call, if you want to maybe just stick around and I could talk to you specifically because you kind of fall into the old way where we re-sign and see in the fall type of thing. So I could just work out some details with that group. All right. If there's no other questions, thank you so much, everybody. And if you can just hold on to the 15 new aged females, then yeah, we'll continue part 2. Thank you so much. Bye now. All right.
John, do you want me to keep recording or do you want me to stop?
We can record because I think there were some 15U parents and athletes that said they couldn't come. I mean, there's no state secrets here. So, congratulations, ladies, for coming for your selection. That's awesome and your results, provincials and nationals. It's been excellent. Um, I think I was saying to Coach Dennis, no one remembers who won 15U, right? So in 3 years, no one will remember. So it's what's to come that's important. So as I said in the meeting, we don't have a program for you. But what we're willing to do, and to set the culture for the club, and like, of having strength and conditioning, and that it's just an expectation of, if you're on the pathway, the train to compete, and the podium pathway, the post-secondary pathway, that you're going to have to be a 12-month-a-year athlete. Depending on the number of athletes that resign at the older age groups, we can extend both the strength and conditioning and the on-court to your group. And then, so that when you come back from your Team Ontario White, which I think is a cup format, is that correct? I believe it's a bunch of Team Ontario Whites, and you compete in the Ontario Cup. And then for the red and white, I think you have a red and white athlete that you're going to go to Canada Cup and come back. But anyways, but when you come back, you can then participate in the strength and conditioning program, and then you can also participate in the post-secondary training with the older athletes. So that's an option that we can extend to you. Obviously, we'll need to take care of the older athletes first, but if there are any spots, if you're interested, let me know. Send me an email. As I said, john@maverickvolleyball.ca, and we'll happily have you, if there's spots available, we'll happily have you join the program and just get into that, that club culture that we're trying to build, that this is the expectation of a high performance athlete, that you're training 12 months a year. So that's where, and if this pilot is successful, then I mean, next year you're going to be into it anyway. So it just, why not start a year early? So that's the offer that we can extend to you. Not sure if it's going to happen, but if it does happen, then you'll be our first go-to. Is that something that's appealing to you as a athletes and parents, or I'm not interested? Just by maybe show of hands or somebody. I'm talking to my presentation, so I don't see any faces. So
Hey,
still
John, it's
digesting.
Angela
Yes.
here.
Hi.
I'm Zaina's mom.
Hi.
I just wanted to say, yeah, it is. I agree that it's a great opportunity for sure, but some of us have already looked at speed training at Titans already, and
Mhm.
like I've put Zaina in until August for speed training, and I've already
Perfect.
signed things. So it's, if there's additional training on top of that, I think we could certainly look at that. Like I think that Zaina would be open to that for sure.
Perfect. Yeah. So we'll offer the strength and conditioning components, and we'll offer the on-court. The on-court is with Coach Judy Musso, and so we purposely put in coaches that they won't work with in the year, so they just get a different perspective. And Judy, I mean, I don't want to age her, but she's been coaching for over 30 years, so a lot of experience there. So yeah, so we'll, like, I hope if there's spots, this cohort will be the first that we offer to before we go to the it's a terrible thing to say, but the alternates for the older age groups.
And I take it that we, like, if we already have the strength and conditioning, that we would just pay for the on-court portion, correct? Or
Correct.
is it
Yeah.
a
So
bundle? Okay,
for this age, because it's not mandated for your age, like it'll be a kind of an a la carte thing, so that you can pick and choose.
perfect. Thank
But
you.
I wouldn't discount the strength conditioning program, especially at this age. Like, I think the terrible term to use, but to bulletproof their bodies and their joints early, the earlier they can bulletproof their body, the easier they're as they get older, for them to stay healthy. So it's really important, the strength and conditioning component. We used to have, I want to say, 15 years ago, like, have 100% of our athletes work out in the summer, and they just progressively got lower and lower and lower, to the point where I'm not saying athletes didn't work out last summer, but we only had 9 registered strength and conditioning program workouts. So it was shocking for us. So we said we have to change that.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Were there any other questions, athletes? How exciting for you guys. It's fun.
I have a question.
Sure.
I'm not Amy Osborne. I'm her husband. I'm her husband, Matthew. I'm gonna change that.
Okay.
Say we're pretty booked up with the physical training. Is it possible just to do the on-court training stuff with Judy? I heard good things about her.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, as I said earlier, like this age group can then go a la carte if they want. So we are in a strength and conditioning program. We're just going to do on court, so we can we'll sign up for on court.
Excellent. Thank you.
No problem. All right. Any other questions or?
Hi, it's Amy.
Ivan?
Sorry. Oh, go ahead,
No
Ivan.
problem.
Yeah, it's Amy. I just had a comment just saying that like we do think this is a great opportunity, and we see that other clubs in Toronto and stuff do the resigning and training over the summer, and like we obviously think this is great. So thank you.
No, we appreciate that. Like I said, we were kind of falling behind in that department that we had to catch up. That's for sure. Appreciate that. Ivan, you have your hand up.
Yeah, hi, it's Ivan, Mia's father. So thank you very much for this call. It's a great opportunity. I agree with the other participants. So just a question: do we know who our coach will be next year?
For 16U, we're into that process right now. We've only solidified the 17 and 18U national groups, and we're still assigning for every other age group that. So we're still in that process right now. So we don't have a definitive name yet.
But so if I get it right, so we will have resigning offer for the club, not for the team, and we have to resign without knowing who the coach will be. That's correct?
Yes, unfortunately, yes. That is the what happens, and actually it's like that every year. Unfortunately, we're trying to move it closer to like our goal this year was to have the coaches named by the banquet. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. I think we're aiming for the week after, and so that's our goal. So actually, it will actually may still fall before the 15th, right? Is the town hall because our banquet's on the 6th. At 7, yeah. So we may have the name of the coach by then.
Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, it's you know what, Paula, I don't think we've ever named the coach, for these resigns before.
We haven't had such a large cohort at this age group resigning.
Yeah.
We've normally had only a couple of people and haven't necessarily had the coach's name. And so I'll just add too, as part of the OVA's athlete, what do they call it? Rights, I guess. The resigning period, if somebody is, as John was saying, because the club has these conditions set by, what were these expectations that we're trying to create, that there is opportunities to get out of your offer, for lack of a better word. If you're not happy with something throughout the summer, because the official registration with the teams is in September. So this is kind of like, this is an early commitment period that you want to be part of the national cohort. But from either side, we have our conditions in terms of attending practices and reaching these milestones throughout the summer. As parents, it is absolutely within your rights to say, I don't feel like that the club is upholding their part of the deal, and are welcome to also request a cancellation of the offer.
Yeah, really good point, actually, Polly. I should have mentioned that to the others too. I'm glad it's on the recording. Yeah, so as the club has conditions, the athletes and parents have the right to back out of their resign offer, because we didn't meet your expectations too. So yeah, really good point, Paula.
There aren't any more questions in the chat, John.
Oh, are there? Okay, sorry.
There are not any more questions in the chat.
Okay, perfect. So if there's no more questions, I thank you for your time. And if you have any more questions that you can think of and you know, or you forgot to ask, please send me an email, john@maverickvolleyball.ca. Happy to answer your questions at that point. Okay, thank you so much, and have a great night. Take care.
Thank you, John.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.